Dodge, stop. Just stop. It's not going to work. I don't care what names and badges that you dredge up from 1970 and apply to the Charger. The 6-pack RT, Daytona's Superbird, Super Beat. I don't care what you call this thing. People don't want it. They don't want the EV version. They don't want the 6-banger version. They don't want the hopped up 6-banger version. It's over. It's tainted. It was declared the world's worst car by Cletus and seen by over 2 million people. You need to stop now. Everything that I'm seeing coming from Dodge just reeks of desperation. It's like that binge drinking, alcoholic, frat boy overcompensating thing that's just the exact opposite of what Dodge should be. So you need to stop. Okay, now it seems like I'm just throwing insult at injury, but I'm not. I actually have a plan. I have a plan. Not that I think that anybody currently in management in and around the Dodge brand has the creativity, the intelligence, or the balls to actually see something effective through. I think they're going to just keep going on the path that they're on. But I actually do have a plan. I know how to fix this. So let's take a little journey, a little side trip to what I thought to be probably the most effective advertising campaign of all time, right? And it has to do with a hamburger chain. I've talked about this before on this channel, but it has to do with a hamburger chain. Hardee's. And this happened when I first moved to Tennessee around 2003. So Hardee's were everywhere, and I had eaten a couple of them while on the road, and I wasn't really impressed. It was just like, right? So a lot of people had that impression, and their sales were way down. All the other burger chains which is eating their lunch. So they ran a campaign. They ran an advertising, a television campaign, and they apologized. And they were like, listen, we're sorry. We know we've strayed too far from our core. Great hamburgers. All we want to do is make great hamburgers. That's what we're known for. That's what you want from us. We're clearing the menu. Everything's off the menu. The only thing we're going to sell is hamburger. That's it. And they did. They cleared their menu. And I'll never forget this because I had been to Hardee's and I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. But with this advertising campaign, I was like, well, they're apologizing and now they're going to like focus in on their hamburger. I'm going to give them a shot. And I remember walking in to the Hardee's near my house, looking up at the big menu and just the big menu, and all it said was hamburger in the middle, right? And it was it, the only thing you could order, just a hamburger. So I ordered it and it was excellent. And I was like, yes, okay, they've earned my business. They realized that they had gone to shit and just wiped the slate clean and regrouped and focused on the hamburger, and bang, I'm a fan now. Now since then, they've drifted back into trying to be everything to everybody. But for a short period of time there, they had it. That was the thing to do. All right, so this is what Dodge needs to do, okay? You need to stop everything right now. Stop production of that car, stop development on that car, stop everything. Stop the whole 1970, whatever, I don't know what you would even call it, because all of the names and the nameplates and the ideas, the slogans all come from 1970, okay? So you have to stop that dead now. You jumped the shark and lost that whole thing when you canceled the Charger and the Challenger a few years ago. Dumbest move ever. The Challenger was the perfect vehicle. It ran pretty much unchanged for like 16 years. Little upgrades here and there, change the tail light a little bit, change, but it was the same car for 16 years, and it was still selling great when it was just crushed out of the blue by the retarded communists that were running the company previously. But the concept was good. It was a car that was distinctive. It stood out from everything else because it was true to 1970, that 1970 design. It had that organic, hip shape. It was a beautiful car, and it had great appeal across the board, whether you just wanted a commuter car to go to and from work with a 6-cylinder, or you wanted a Hellcat, or all of the different high performance versions of it. It was the perfect thing. And it had to be cheap to produce because the same vehicle for 16 years, well, the tooling is there. It just needs to be refreshed every once in a while. Idiot move. The Charger EV comes in, it's a total embarrassment on every count. It's a failure on every count. It's a mechanical failure, it's an electronic nightmare. And you've turned everybody off. All right, so here is my fix. Here's what I would do if somebody was to put me in charge of Dodge. I get tongue-tied. Here's what I would do if somebody put me in charge of Dodge. Cancel the Charger. Cancel the Super Bee, cancel everything, wipe the slate clean. And here's what you do. You lose the whole 1970 thing and you go back to 1966, okay? First, you re-adopt the original Dodge logo, the font that was used in that period of time, 1966, 1967. It was bold, it was strong, it was effective, it was instantly recognizable. No, Dodge, okay. And now the campaign you adopt or reignite, the campaign is the Dodge Rebellion, okay? The Dodge Rebellion. You're gonna be different. You're gonna swim against the tide. You're gonna do something different than everybody else does, okay? And the vehicle that you're gonna bring back in the same spirit that you brought back the Challenger, 16-year run on that thing. It was never a sales failure. Okay, the vehicle that you're going to revive is the 1969 Dart. Okay, now hear me out. The rebellion is this. Everything out there is that soft, rounded, melted ice cream cone look that's been prevalent for years. The second generation, well, actually the third generation Dart from 1967 through 1969 was a box, but it was a stylish box. It was bold. It looked strong. And in my mind, the peak year was 1969. A lot of people say that 1968 Dart was the better looking of them, but I think that body style really came to its own in 1969. So what you want to do is, you want to take the 1969 Dart with all of its identifying features, the taillights, those square rectangular-like taillights, the indentations in the trunk lid, and the same thing in the front where you had that like scalloped area in the middle of the hood, okay? The full-size bumpers. You need to take, and the little hip crease that was at the C-pillar on those cars. You want to take all those styling cues and wrap them up in a modernized version. Right? Exactly the same way you took the 1970 Challenger and then modernized it to be the 2008 and on. Well, that's what you want to do with the 1969 Dodge. But now here's where the real rebellion comes in. Because first, that's a visual rebellion. It's a bold, crisp package, and it doesn't look like anything else on the road. But here's the real rebellion, okay? If you listen to the people, read the comments on this video and a zillion other videos like it, and you'll see that people are fed up. They do not want technology everywhere. They don't want screens. There's a big portion of the population right now that is craving simplicity. They want to go back to the old days so badly. They want roll down windows, okay? Give them this. This is the essence of the Dodge Rebellion. You're gonna rebel against every other sterile transportation appliance out there, and you're gonna give America a car that it can love, that it can relate to, okay? That's the whole point of this exercise now. We're gonna wipe the slate clean, and we're gonna go back to what was truly a great Dodge. All right, roll down windows. Every car in the world has bucket seats. This Dart gets a bench seat, a good old-fashioned bench seat. Every freaking car in the world out there right now has funky electronic shifters that you can't even figure out how the damn things work. A Prindle on the column, okay? A bench seat and a prindle on the column and roll down windows. Yeah, in a brand new car, brand new package. The dashboard, completely analog. You have whatever screens are necessary, so it's got to have a backup camera, whatever it happens to be, you incorporate that in. But there's tangible buttons and dials and knobs and gauges, just like the 1969 Dart, just upgraded, just updated, okay? The base engine, the standard engine, is the Pentastar. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't put anything exotic in there. The average person doesn't want anything exotic. They want something that's proven, that works. The Pentastar has been around for decades now. It's proven, you've worked all the bugs out of it. That's the engine you put in that car. That's the base engine, okay? That's it, that's it. A 1969 car updated with 1969 features, updated to today's standards. Of course, you're gonna have air conditioning and power steering standard. That kind of goes without saying these days. But you want the car, the physical feel of the car, the appearance of the car to be old, to be traditional, to be basic. People of the world are craving this right now. And this is how you market the car. We're throwing a book away. We're going back to when Dodge was great, and here's what made Dodge great. Rugged, simplistic, style, simplicity. People want this. You market this new Dart as being easy to service and maintain at home. Please, you have no idea how strong an impact that will make on the population. You run ads showing a father and son changing the oil on this thing in the driveway. You know, true Americana. This is what people want. These are the ideas that they want. Yeah, only a small fraction of people will actually do it. But the fact that the dipsticks are there and obvious, and the oil filter is in a place that you can get it, and look, you can do this yourself, it'll go a long, long way towards the people loving the product, the people desiring the product, because everybody wants out of this modern world. They're done with the modern world. That's just part of it. Now, that's the pedestrian version. And you do a 2-door, you do a 4-door, it's a bonus. You'll sell a lot of 4-doors, let me tell you. But the idea now is the 2-door, the swinger, you make it sporty, boxy, but sporty. So that's your base model with the 3.6. Now you have to have one performance model. And the 340 Swinger was it. That was the giant killer. That was the budget supercar. The ad for that car, 6,000 RPM for $3,000. That's what you're going for. You're going to put a normally aspirated 5.7 in there. Nothing exotic. No superchargers, no turbochargers, no this or that. No, nothing. Just pure, highly tuned 5.7, normally aspirated 5.7. You turn that into the giant killer that the 340 was. On the street, stoplight to stoplight, on regular pavement, street racing back in the day, those 340 A-bodies were nearly unbeatable. It was the perfect powder weight package. They had the right traction, the right capabilities. Those things flew. People ran them and ran them hard. They were fun, they were simple, they worked. You copy that concept today. You take this new Dart, this newly revived Dart, you put a 5.7 package in it. I wouldn't even call it a Hemi, because at this point it's so played out. Back in the day, Hemi actually meant something. You know what I mean? It was because it was rare. It was like, oh, it's got a Hemi in it. Today, the Hemis are everywhere. They're in trucks, they're in everything, okay? Don't even call it a Hemi, just the Swinger 5.7, okay? That's it. Manual transmission. This thing needs manual transmission. Listen, it's really important, okay? The Swinger 5.7 doesn't get some funky stylized version of the pistol grip. No. And the designer that tries to get that through, you send him to go work at the florist where he belongs, okay? You put a real chrome Hurst stick in there with a round ball on the top. This will sell. This will absolutely sell, that long cross. And it's not even something you have to design. No, just go straight to Hurst and tell them, yeah, make me shifters for this thing. I want the 1969 shifter in this. That's it. That's all you need. People will eat this up. There is nothing more masculine, shows more bravado than that unassuming bench seat with the unassuming steering wheel and the unassuming dashboard and the chrome stick sticking out of the floor and hanging over the seat. Nothing gives a more satisfying driving experience. I know it's not snick, snick, snick. It's bang, 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 but that's what Dodges were about. Dodges were about bang! Next gear, the whole car shudders. That's the essence, that's the spirit of Dodge. Not the silly stuff that you've been pushing for the last several years. Listen to me, okay? This is a formula for success. That one, reviving that one nameplate, sticking in that 67 through 69 range, and playing it up for what it is. It's a revival of an American icon, right? Because American icon means more than just muscle car. American icon, the Dodge Dart, the original Dodge Dart, was one of the most beloved vehicles ever produced. That's where you go with this thing. Clean the slate. All right, so that's my idea of how this should be done. How you can salvage the nameplate, stop the bleeding, stop the embarrassment, regroup and get it going on. Now, am I wrong with this? I don't know. Am I just a delusional old man with some crazy radical ideas? I want you guys in the comments, because you know that the people at Dodge are going to watch this video and they're going to look for the comments, they're going to look for the responses, okay? I want you guys in the comments to let everybody know what you think of this general idea, and more importantly, if you work for Dodge at the dealer level, you're a salesman or you're a manager, or I want you to throw your 2 cents in. Am I on to something? Will this sell? Am I giving you salesman? Oh, price. That's the other thing too, okay? Let's go back to that Swinger ad. I know, I'm all over the map. I can't help it. It's just what I am. Swinger ad, 6,000 RPM for $3,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's a ballpark, right around $30,000. So if you can bring in the base car, the Pentastar V6, at around $30,000, and let's say the Swinger 5.7 at $35,000, $36,000, like that, this is a bargain. This is a bargain from every angle. All right, so if you work for Dodge, if you're a salesman or you manage a dealership or you're involved in any of that, let me know, what do you think this would do? Would this bring some traffic? Could you sell this car? Tell them. They're thick-headed. I think they're beyond thick-headed. I don't think there's any actual... See you tomorrow.